Hey everybody, how you doing? Got a video for you today. It is going to be my full review on the 32 Replica, and I know a lot of people are going to be searching the 32 Replica. This video is going to come up. So you're going to want to know things like what are the bottom stamps, what do they look like, am I getting a genuine one, blah blah blah. You're going to want to know pricing, this and that. So I'm going to go into all of that in order and segments. You're going to be able to check that out. Just scroll down and you'll see the timestamps for everything. So the first thing we're going to talk about is identifying one, authenticity, whatever you want to call it. So the two right here are the second release ones, and they just have patent pending on the bottom stamp. They're going to look like this. And then you can get these ones here, same thing, patent pending. And you're going to know that it is one. It's got the extender. It's got the extender in there. It's like that so a regular Zippo insert fits in there, because you'll probably notice that it is much taller. It is much taller than a regular Zippo. You can see there. Much taller. So it's got a little push thing on the bottom to push it up. And then you're going to get to, this is the one that's a little harder to find. This is a first release. 1933 Replica. This is the one that, like, this is to replicate, because in the 32 there was only like the prototypes and the concepts, and then 33 is when Zippo originally started to release the Zippo for sale to the customers. So that's why there's a lot of big discrepancies. They call it 32, 33. And they're going to come in with regular inserts too, flat stock inserts, probably from around the same time. This one has like some sort of epoxy built up in the bottom, just so it could lift the insert up. Any regular insert fits in these. You could fit a single torch, double torch, Zippo insert. I don't know about the Zorros, but the Zippos for sure. I've had them in there. I was using it in there for a bit. So they're pretty good. Now that's pretty much the identifying marks. And then if you get one and you're wondering, oh, it's not a real outside hinge, it's actually a regular hinge with just two plates welded on. Did I get a fake one? No, that's how they made these. Don't worry. They're not as nice as the 35 Replica that has a real working outside 3-barrel hinge. I'm actually growing quite fond of the 35. I've hated it for years. But now I'm using it all the time and I'm actually liking it. But that is a video for another time. We were talking about the 32 here today. So now another thing about the 32 you're probably going to want to know is pricing. What are they selling for? What should I pay for one? So just before I go into any of that, I'm going to tell you, you're going to see a lot of overpriced ones online, and you're going to see people buying them. That doesn't mean that's what they're worth. That just means that some poor sucker was willing to spend that much on a lighter that isn't worth that much. I see them selling for like $200, $250 sometimes, and I'm just not happy with that. Because like, you got to think, like, okay, yes, they came out in the 80s. They were distributed in the 80s, and then they were distributed in the 90s. We haven't seen them again since. So you can say in a way they're a little bit more rare, a little more collectible, yes. But you got to remember, there was like definitely over 100,000 of them made. Like, I'm sorry, but like, if you go to any other collectible, like anything collectible, any piece of Americana where people collect things, like 100,000 of them isn't considered like limited edition collectible. You know, that's, and especially if it's only from the 80s or 90s, you know what I mean? So like, you really got to watch what you're doing in this thing. And people are more than happy to tell you things are overpriced. Probably because they're friends with people that overprice things. You know what I mean? So you really got to watch. Or they paid for something. They paid a ridiculous amount for something, so they want to justify that they paid too much for it because it's actually worth that. It happens, man. That's the world of collecting, and it's not just Zippos. Anything you start collecting, any vintage stuff, and that's how it's gonna go. So that brings me to the price. I wouldn't pay more than $50 for a used one. I wouldn't. I don't care which version it was. I just wouldn't pay more than $50 for it, because it's just, there's so many of them out there. That's why you see them for sale all the time on eBay and stuff. Like, they're always for sale. It's not that they're not available. You know, like, if you wanted to validate a $250 price tag for this, like, I better only see one for sale on eBay a year then, because like that's how rare it's got to be to justify that kind of price. That's insane. But in its own right, yeah, you can argue that it is rare. I don't think it is. Like I said, over 100,000. So now For a camel one though, I can definitely see wanting to pay $100 for that, just because now with the Marlboro and Camel, there is extra added on because they're not allowed to advertise on lighters anymore. So to get those old vintage ones is actually something worth doing, because those things just go up with time. There's a lot of people that collect that. I'm not American, so I don't do the Camel or the Marlboro. So it doesn't really mean anything to me, but I do understand that there is a thing, for wanting and availability. Like those Camel and Marlboro lighters on eBay just don't last, and they're selling for good price. You're getting them for $20, $30. Like they're still selling for good prices, just the old 90s ones. So the Camel 32, man, I'd pay $100 for it in any condition. You know what I mean? I'd be happy with that. Because don't forget, like those Camel ones were even less made. It's not like there's 100,000 of those Camel ones made. So that's what bumps that price up, right? I'm just trying to make you understand how the pricing works for these. And I've seen a lot of them go for sale, $50, $75. And even at $75, I wouldn't blame you. You know what I mean? If it's the one that pops up, it's the one you wanted, and you're willing to spend the extra 20, like what's an extra 20 for something you'd want? I understand that. So that's pretty much my version of the pricing on this. It's arguable, my pricing isn't set in stone. But so another thing I want to talk about is basically the history of the real lighter. They were making them in a garage there in 32, selling them in 33. But the thing was, this lighter almost put them out of business too. This lighter wasn't very popular. At the time, you can buy another lighter from every state. Basically made their own lighter, and they were already making lighters for years, and they had way more like aesthetically pleasing features on it, and like curves and looks, and like it was a more elegant looking lighter, you could say. And the 32 wasn't selling very well. That's why instantly you see the 35, and then right after the 35 comes out, they already started changing that. They kept evolving the lighter. You got to realize the 41 put Zippo on the map. You know what I mean? Like that's what did it for them, right? So now a piece of history, yes. Like I think every collector, if you're a serious collector and you want your display to look cool, you want to show every lighter from every decade of Zippo, yeah, you're gonna need these 32 replicas to finish that thing. But like I'm not that kind of collector, right? Niagara Falls Zippos didn't have a 32. They came out in 49, so I wasn't too big on these. But another reason why I just don't like them is because they're like, and I'm sorry to tell people that I don't like them, but they all have extremely sharp corners, crudely made, just completely square, lifeless, fake hinge. You know what I mean? Like it's just to look pretty in your collection. It's not for you to use. And like I said, I don't really like them. They're not my favorite. Like it's nice that they're taller and stuff, but like I think if they come out with another 32 replica from Zippo, this is what I would like. I would like to see Zippo come out with another 32 replica, because they have their 100-year anniversary coming in the next 10 years. In the next decade, they're going to have a 100-year anniversary. So I would say re-release this lighter with a real outside hinge and just a little bit rounder corners, make it a little more practical, right? Make it look like not such a, and like make it the remake for the 100 years, and, put as many as you want out. I would buy one then, if you just modernize it a little bit, because why would you go so to code on the extreme sharp corners but have a regular 5-barrel hinge with fake outside plates? Like it doesn't make sense to me. And they didn't even redo an insert for it. What I would like to see Zippo do for the 100 years is make a longer insert that actually fits the Zippo, put the old gun stock hammer cam on there that they used to have, and maybe even do a little different changes to the insert, so you're getting a distinct insert for this. Because if the Zippo insert was just a little longer, that means that's how much more fluid I can fit in there. That is that is the only thing I'm thinking about, is more fluid. So you only get to use the same size insert. Like the whole bottom, like of my finger there, is not even being used. If they just made a longer insert for it, then you could fit that much more fluid in there. You'd get like another few days. So those are just my thoughts on the 32 replica. If I missed anything, or you have anything to ask that I didn't get to in the video, just ask me down in the comments below. The discussion will be going on down there. See you, everybody. Take care. Thanks for tuning in.